Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, Horrorboy465, welcome back to some more videos, and I know there's been a bit of an absence from me making videos, and that's because after reviewing the Leprechaun franchise, I just sort of had to take a break because I was just mentally exhausted from watching those movies. Some of them are really bad, and it took a lot of mental strength to watch the entire movie and to not break the movie. So yeah, I had to recover from reviewing that franchise. So I am back once again, and I have the Blade trilogy over here, which is my next franchise I'm going to be reviewing, the Blade trilogy. I know there's also a Blade anime, and there's a Blade TV show, but these are the movies I have. Blade 1, which is a childhood favorite of mine. Believe it or not, an actual childhood favorite of mine. I know it's like, gosh dang, Nate, you watched Blade as a kid? Yeah, Blade as a kid, I honestly wasn't even scared of this movie, because this movie showed that, yeah, vampires are scary in movies, but these movies, Blade and Blade 2, I didn't really watch Blade Trinity a lot growing up. I think I caught it on Sci-Fi about 2 times. But I didn't really grow up with Blade Trinity too much, but I did grow up with Blade 1 and 2 because I had them both on VHS tape. And actually, I watched this VHS tape so many times I broke it, because, if you keep rewinding a VHS tape and playing it and keep rewinding it, eventually it will break. So I had a VHS tape that I watched it so much that it broke. So that's how much I was really drawn to this film. And I still love this movie. This is my favorite film of the trilogy. And just a movie that I grew up with, watched a lot, picked it up on DVD about a few years back. And all the versions I picked up with the Pre-Line Platinum series, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, Blade 1, which is my favorite. Blade 2, which is a very close second favorite of mine. I really enjoyed the sequel. Really enjoyed the sequel. And when I got it, it came packed with, you got 2 discs in there. That's the first disc. But you get all this stuff in there, and also there's a scene index that's back there on the wall. But it was just jam-packed with all kinds of stuff. Like, some of that was advertisements, and some of that was also booklets. But yeah, Blade 2. I love it. It's a great movie, and it's a very close second favorite. I think I think honestly, these 2 movies, even though the first one's my favorite, they're honestly on the same level. I mean, they're both great movies. They both have wonderful action scenes. They're both movies with great ideas behind them. And yeah, even though I prefer Blade 1 more than Blade 2, I think they're both equally probably similar. I just would lean a little bit more toward Blade, but honestly, they're about equal for me. They're just really good movies. So yeah, Blade 2 and Blade Trinity, which is also a New Line Platinum series. This is the unrated version. Now, Blade Trinity, it's not bad. I don't hate it. I know a lot of people hate this movie because, it's definitely the weakest one. I can say that. It's the weakest one because, it's got some really bad CGI at times, and Wesley Snipes in the movie, he's good, but he's not fully on point as Blade. There's a few scenes where it didn't really seem like he was doing too well playing Blade, but for most of it, it was a pretty decent performance. But overall, I didn't mind the idea of Blade versus Dracula. I love that idea. It's just the guy they got to play Dracula was very lame. The guy who played Dracula was freaking awful. He was awful in that movie. So I will say that movie, it's a decent film. I can watch it and not have too many problems with it. And I mean, Triple H is in the movie as well. You also got the vampires back, which the cult of vampires wasn't really that memorable, but Triple H was also in the movie, which is pretty cool. I didn't mind the fight scene at the end of the movie. I don't know. I get to Blade Trinity when I get to it. It's just a movie that I don't personally hate, but if people were not to like it, I would definitely see where they're coming from. It's definitely the weakest in the trilogy. But today, I'm going to talk about Blade. I'll talk about Blade a little bit later on. I want to talk about a few more other videos and movies before I get to the Blade movies. But one of those movies I want to talk about really badly was Cujo. Now this is the movie I'll be reviewing in this video, Cujo. Now, Cujo is the movie adaptation of Stephen King's Cujo. And I think I seen Cujo when I was about 7 years old when I first seen Cujo, and I remember liking it. I remember being, a little kid thinking it was a pretty scary idea, and it's definitely it's, for me at least, a pretty crazy idea of having a dog as a killer because, I mean, it's the man's best friend. It's something that you would always trust, but, you know, this dog at the beginning of the movie is really nice, and then it just sort of slowly becomes a monster due to this rabies. And I just like the acting in it and the characters, and I just think it's a really well-made movie. I wouldn't really say it's a classic, though. I mean, they get a 6.0 on IMDb. I can probably agree with that. Came out in 1983, and it's directed by Louis Teague. But I don't know. I enjoy it. I think it's a really good movie. Louis Teague was also director of Cat's Eye and Wedlock, Fighting Back, Alligator from 1980. I remember hearing about that movie. Lady in Red from 79. But yeah, I've heard about Cat's Eye. I've heard about Alligator. I heard they were fun movies, so I'll give them a watch. But Cujo, I think it's just a well-made movie. Definitely did a good job directing the movie. It's well shot, has a great look to it. There are certain scenes in the movie, especially when these characters are stuck in this car, that you really feel like they're in the middle of nowhere. There's no sense of help and escape. They really do a good job at that. And the dog, who was Cujo, did an amazing job. I mean, I couldn't tell this dog was trained. I couldn't tell this dog was not acting. This dog was ferocious in the movie, but then it was just a very well-trained dog. And the movie, they make it out to where they did it really good where the dog was likable at first. You know, it was a normal dog. But once it got bit by that bat and it started to turn into this monster, that you really bought that it was this nice dog turning into this monster, but it had no control of that. I really liked that. I really liked Dee Wallace in the movie. She did a great job. The guy who played her husband didn't do a bad job either. Danny Pintoro playing Tad. He did a good job. The kid who played the little kid, Vic Trenton, Daniel Hugh Kelly, didn't mind him. Did a decent job. And basically what the story is about, it's got a pretty basic story to it. The beginning of the movie starts off, and Cujo is running through this field, and he's chasing a rabbit. This rabbit goes into this little hole in the ground. Cujo gets his head stuck in the hole in the ground. And while he's in this hole, there's this bat underneath there, and it has rabies, and it bites Cujo on the nose. And Cujo's a dog to this sort of farm family, this family that's sort of falling apart. There's even a point in the movie where the wife and the son pretty much leave the husband there. And it's like him and his friend the only people there now. But basically, it focuses on that a little bit. You see Cujo get bit in the nose, which causes a rabies infection. And then it cuts to this family, the Trenton family. Dee Wallace, Danny Pintoro, and Daniel Hugh Kelly playing Donna, Tad, and Vic. And they're sort of, you know, your typical family. The dad is, I thought that Danny Pintoro really did a good job playing this dad. And Dee Wallace did a really good job in the movie, and she sort of has this affair behind the dad's back. But I like how her character sort of regrets that. She just doesn't want that to happen anymore. So she's like, you know, she tells the guy who she's cheating on him with, she tells him that he can't come over anymore. And the guy gets mad, of course, but then he finally leaves her alone. But one day, I think it's the car that her husband had, it wasn't running well, so they brought it to this farm place to get fixed. And I think it does end up getting fixed, and they take it back, but it starts having trouble again. The husband finds out that Dee Wallace is cheating on him, so he breaks up with her. And then, you know, things sort of go slow for a little bit. It's about Dee Wallace trying to figure out what she's going to do and how she's going to get through this. And then the car that he leaves her is the messed up car. So she drives it out to the farmhouse. Meanwhile, that's happening. That's happening. That's when the kid and the wife to the guy who's out to the mechanic guy, they leave. They get the heck out of there. And the mechanic guy's pretty much there by himself. His family just pretty much ditched him. And him and his friend are there, and they're talking loud, and they're cursing and stuff, and Cujo gets bothered by it. And Cujo, they did a really good job showing, like, this really bad infection, like, you know, all over him. It's just this infected skin, and his eyes are, like, not really red, but, like, bloodshot, or, I don't know if they're bloodshot, but they look like they're just wild eyes, like, you know, ready to kill somebody. And he's, like, drooling and stuff like that. And the dog Cujo ends up killing those two people. Ripping them apart. And when Dee Wallace and her son get there, there's nobody at the farm. And a good chunk of the movie is them just trying to stay alive. They get out of their car. Cujo comes out and attacks them. And I really think the beginning of the movie was decent, but what I really love about this movie is definitely the second and third act. The first act was okay. I didn't mind it. It was well shot, well acted. But it started off a bit slow, but at the same time, it was character development. It was getting us introduced to these characters. But I felt like it started off a little bit too slow. Just for me personally, I thought it started off a little too slow. But the acting was actually pretty good, and it did get some character development, so that's pretty cool. But Dee Wallace and her son end up getting attacked by Cujo to the point where they got to lock their car down, and the car won't start because it's messed up. And there's only like a little bit of water and a canteen in the back. There's no food really, and they have to pretty much wait for help. And they're out there trying to survive. And Dee Wallace even tries to get out of the car sometimes, but she gets bit and stuff in the process. And it's just really good because the acting, she's trying to keep her son calm. She's trying to figure out what she's going to do. And Cujo is like outside the car, just laying on the ground, waiting for him to get out of the car. And that's what I mean. Like, it could be a silly idea. Like, come on, a dog killer, really? But no, for me personally in this movie, I thought that Cujo was like this evil presence. It was this dangerous presence. When Cujo was on the screen, it was serious. It wasn't laughable at all. It was completely serious. At least for me, because the dog they got to play Cujo did a really good job. I know it's like, well, a dog can't really act. It's like, well, they trained it very, very well. I can say that. And, there's a few things that happen. Like, she tries to get out of the car, but she gets bit. She has to, like, fix it up a little bit. And throughout the rest of the movie, her son, he gets dehydrated, and he's not responding to her. There's also a point where a cop comes in, but he gets murdered by Cujo. And as a last resort, she rushes outside, fights Cujo off, gets into the house, gives her son water so he's not dehydrated anymore. Cujo comes bursting in. I think she shoots him or stabs him. I think she shoots him. And then she pretty much shoots and kills Cujo. And that's the end of the movie. Her husband actually comes back to the farm, and they sort of reunite at the end of the movie. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. So it's a very straightforward film. There's not much, complexity to the plot. But it's also a really good thing because, it's straightforward. It's to the point. That's the movie. It's nothing more complex than that. It's a very straightforward, fast-paced after the first act. After that, I really got into the movie. But, well done acting, well done characters. And I actually started reading the book of Cujo about 3 years ago. But I didn't finish it. But, from what I read of it so far, it seemed like it was, covering the movie was covering the book pretty well. The book, for me, though, I felt had a little bit more of that Stephen King rawness. The language and the themes of the book. Stephen King books are definitely different and more powerful in the movies sometimes. Like, for me, Carrie was, the book of Carrie was, like, really, really creepy, and it had some dark stuff in it. It had like, really crazy language, and, like, I like how they explained the backstory of Carrie. They explained that there were stones that come out of the sky and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. Just really enjoy those just themes and that grittiness and that seriousness that Stephen King. Not that this movie is not serious or anything like that. I mean, it is a very serious film, but I don't know. Stephen King movies, the books, have more like weight to them than the movies sometimes. Because I read Christine, that definitely had the movie was really good, but the book, I don't know, I really enjoy the books for these movies as well. But the movies, they're definitely, well made. They're well adapted. They adapted the books pretty well. And I really enjoy Cujo. I think it's a really good movie. I wouldn't say it's a classic because I don't watch it too often. I honestly don't. This is a movie that I honestly sometimes skimmer over because I'm not really in the mood to watch it. I don't know. It's a good movie, but it's not really a classic in my opinion because it does have some problems. I don't really remember at least for me, I don't remember the score being too memorable. And I don't, in the beginning of the movie was pretty slow start off. The beginning of the movie was. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. Overall, really enjoyed it. And yeah. So thanks for watching my really quick review on Cujo. Really enjoy it. And I do apologize once again for being absent for these last few days. I had to recover from reviewing the Leprechaun movies because those movies are awful. But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video, and thanks for watching my review on Cujo. Anyways, guys, I am the Explorer 4, Horrorboy 465, and I am out of here. See you guys later. Bye.